My sister tried to erase me from our father's legacy. Then I walked into the country club she thought she owned. The weight of family expectations can crush you, especially when one sibling believes they're entitled to everything. This is a story about how my sister tried to erase me from a place that held deep, personal meaning, only to discover that some legacies run deeper than she could ever imagine. It's about betrayal, the quiet strength of memory, and finding validation in the most unexpected places. The email landed in my inbox like a digital slap. Your membership application for Crestview Country Club has been approved. Welcome, Ms. Claire Montgomery. I stared at the screen, a small, triumphant smile playing on my lips. It had been a long time coming. Decades, really. My sister, Eleanor, had always considered Crestview her domain. Ever since she married David Sterling, whose family practically owned the place, she'd lorded it over me. "Oh, Claire, you wouldn't understand the finer points of polo," she'd purr, or "the greens at Crestview are simply divine. A shame you don't play, darling." Her voice, a silken whip, always found its mark. I did play. I played a lot. Just not at Crestview. Not until now. I chose a Tuesday, a quiet afternoon, for my first visit. The sun, a benevolent eye, warmed my skin as I drove through the wrought iron gates. The familiar scent of freshly cut grass and blooming hydrangeas filled the air, a fragrance that pulled me back to childhood. Dad had loved this place. He'd brought me here countless times as a little girl, before Eleanor was even born, before Mom passed, before the Sterling family bought out half the club's shares and Eleanor married into their prestige. He'd taught me to hit a tennis ball on court 5, the one closest to the rose garden. He'd even snuck me into the adults-only pool for a quick dip when no one was looking, his booming laugh echoing off the tiled walls. Those memories were mine, untainted by Eleanor's carefully constructed superiority. I parked my car, a sensible sedan, next to a gleaming black SUV. As I stepped out, the crisp air of the grounds embraced me. I wore a simple white tennis skirt and a navy polo shirt, ready for a set. My racket bag, a well-worn companion, slung over my shoulder. Inside the sprawling clubhouse, the polished marble floors gleamed. A young woman with a perfectly coiffed blonde bob greeted me from behind a mahogany desk. "Welcome to Crestview, ma'am. May I help you?" Her smile was practiced, polite. "Yes, I'm Claire Montgomery. I believe my membership was just approved." I extended my hand, offering a small smile. She typed a few keys. "Ah, yes, Ms. Montgomery. Everything is in order. Your member card will be ready for pickup tomorrow, but I can issue you a temporary pass today." She handed me a crisp, laminated card. "Enjoy your day, Ms. Montgomery. The courts are all open." I thanked her, a quiet satisfaction blossoming in my chest. The first hurdle cleared. I walked towards the locker rooms, my steps light. I was halfway down the corridor when a voice, sharp as a broken glass, pierced the calm. "Claire, what in God's name are you doing here?" I turned slowly. Eleanor stood there, regal in a pristine white tennis dress, a visor perched on her perfectly highlighted hair. Her face, usually composed, was a mask of disbelief and thinly veiled fury. David, her husband, a man whose bland politeness often felt more chilling than outright anger, stood beside her, his expression a mixture of surprise and mild annoyance. I raised an eyebrow, a small, knowing smile playing on my lips. "Good afternoon, Eleanor." "David. Lovely day for a game, wouldn't you say?" "A game? You. Here." Eleanor's voice rose, a high-pitched whine. Her eyes, usually narrowed in judgment, were wide with shock. "This is a private club, Claire. Members only. You know that." "Indeed I do." I held up my temporary pass, the laminated card a small beacon of defiance. "Which is precisely why I'm here." She snatched the card from my hand, her fingers trembling slightly. Her eyes scanned it, then snapped back to mine. "Montgomery? Claire Montgomery? This must be some mistake. There's no way you're a member. You can't afford this, Claire. You work. Where do you even work now? Some little gallery downtown, isn't it? This isn't a charity." David cleared his throat, a low rumble. "Eleanor, perhaps." "No, David. This is preposterous. She's trying to sneak in. She always does this, trying to piggyback on our good fortune. I told you she'd try something like this." She waved the card like a flag of accusation. "You can't just walk in here, Claire. This is my club. Our club." Her voice dripped with possessiveness. "Funny," I mused, my gaze sweeping over the opulent lobby. "I seem to recall Dad bringing me here before you were even a twinkle in anyone's eye, Eleanor. He was a founding member, remember? before the Sterlings bought their way in. The words hung in the air, a subtle barb. Eleanor's face flushed, a mottled red spreading from her neck to her cheeks. That's ancient history. And besides, his membership lapsed years ago. This is different. This is David's family legacy. And mine, I countered, my voice low but firm. I applied, Eleanor. I was accepted. It's all perfectly legitimate. Legitimate? How? Did you win the lottery? Did some sugar daddy pay your way? She laughed, a brittle, humorless sound. You're making a fool of yourself. I'm calling security. Before David could interject again, Eleanor marched over to the front desk, her heels clicking angrily on the marble. The young woman with the bob looked up, startled. Eleanor leaned over the desk, whispering furiously, gesticulating wildly towards me. The young woman's eyes darted to me, then back to Eleanor, a flicker of discomfort on her face. I stood my ground, my racket bag still slung casually over my shoulder. My heart pounded a little faster, a drumbeat of anticipation. This was it. The confrontation I'd known was inevitable, the one I'd quietly prepared for. A few moments later, a man in a crisp navy uniform, broad-shouldered and authoritative, emerged from a side office. He had a kind, crinkled face, lines etched around his eyes. He approached Eleanor, who was still animatedly explaining her grievances. "Is there a problem, Mrs. Sterling?" he asked, his voice calm measured. "Yes, Henry, there is." Eleanor practically shrieked. "This woman, my sister, Claire Montgomery, is trying to trespass. She claims to be a member, but it's impossible. She's not. She's trying to cause trouble, as usual. She needs to be escorted out immediately." She pointed a trembling finger at me. Henry, the security chief, turned his gaze to me. His eyes, a warm brown, held a hint of recognition. "Ms. Montgomery? That's me, Henry." I offered a small, polite nod. Eleanor gasped. "You know her? How do you know her?" Henry's gaze returned to Eleanor, a slight tightening around his mouth. "Mrs. Sterling, I've worked here for nearly 30 years. I know most of our members, past and present. And their families." He paused, then looked back at me. "It's good to see you back, Miss Claire." My breath hitched. "It's good to be back, Henry. It's been a long time." He smiled then, a genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. "Indeed. Too long. I remember you as a little girl, running around the courts, trying to sneak extra cookies from the kitchen staff. Your father, Mr. Robert Montgomery, was a good man. He loved this place." Eleanor's jaw dropped. David, who had remained silent, shifted uncomfortably. "He did," I confirmed, a wave of nostalgia washing over me. "He taught me everything I know about tennis on Court 5. Court 5, Henry chuckled softly. That was his favorite. Always reserved it for Tuesday afternoons. He then turned back to Eleanor, his expression firm. "Mrs. Sterling, Ms. Montgomery is a legitimate, dues-paying member of Crestview Country Club. Her application was processed last week. She has every right to be here." Eleanor sputtered, her face now a furious crimson. But how? She doesn't have the means. She's not one of us." Henry's eyes hardened slightly. "Membership is based on an application process, Mrs. Sterling, not solely on who you know or what you inherited. Ms. Montgomery's application met all the criteria. She has been fully approved." He paused, then added, his voice dropping an octave. "And even if she hadn't been, I would still know her. Your father, Mr. Montgomery, was a very respected member. He was instrumental in the club's early development. His legacy here is significant." He turned to me, his voice softening once more. "Ms. Claire, if you'd like, I can have someone escort you to the courts, or perhaps to the locker room. And if Mrs. Sterling continues to cause a disturbance, I will have to ask her to leave." Eleanor's face crumpled. She looked from Henry to me, then to David, who was now pointedly avoiding her gaze. The silence in the lobby stretched, thick with her humiliation. "No, Henry, that won't be necessary," I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the tremor in my hands. "I think I can find my way. I know this place pretty well." I looked directly at Eleanor, my gaze unwavering. "Enjoy your day, Eleanor." "David." I walked past them, my head held high. I could feel Eleanor's furious glare burning into my back, but I didn't turn around. The victory felt quiet, internal. It wasn't about gloating, not entirely. It was about reclaiming a piece of my past, a connection to my father that Eleanor had always tried to deny me. I found Court 5. It was empty, just as I'd hoped. The familiar green surface, the white lines, the net stretched taut. I placed my racket bag on the bench, pulled out my racket, and bounced a ball a few times. The rhythmic thwack against the strings was a comforting sound. A few minutes later, a young man, a ball boy, approached the court. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, his voice polite. "Are you ready for your hitting partner? Mr. Jensen is waiting." "Mr. Jensen?" I asked, surprised. I hadn't booked a hitting partner. "Yes, ma'am. He said you specifically requested him. Mr. Jensen, the head pro." The young man gestured towards the gate where a tall, athletic man with a shock of silver hair was waiting, a warm smile on his face. I recognized him immediately. Mark Jensen. He'd been a junior pro when I was a kid, always patient, always encouraging. He'd probably been the one who taught me my forehand. "Mark," I called out, a genuine smile spreading across my face. He walked onto the court, his stride still powerful. Claire Montgomery. I thought that name sounded familiar when it came across my desk for a hitting partner. "Welcome back." He extended a hand. His grip was firm, familiar. "Heard you were back in town. Heard you were applying for membership. Knew it was only a matter of time." "You did." I laughed, a genuine, unburdened sound. "Your father never stopped talking about you, even after he stopped coming around. Said you had a natural talent, a fierce competitive spirit. Said you'd be back one day." He winked. "He'd be proud, Claire. Very proud." My eyes welled up, a sudden rush of emotion. My father's presence felt so strong, so real, right there on Court 5. He was here, in the memories, in the respect of the people who remembered him. Eleanor's attempts to erase me, to diminish my connection to this place, felt utterly insignificant in the face of that. "Shall we hit a few?" Mark asked, sensing my moment of reflection. He tossed a ball. "Let's," I said, wiping a stray tear with the back of my hand. I positioned myself, racket ready. The ball arced towards me. I swung, the familiar contact a sweet release. The ball sailed over the net, landing squarely within the lines. The sun continued to shine, the air crisp and clean. The sound of the ball, the rhythmic back and forth, filled the court. It was more than just a game. It was a conversation with my past, a validation of my present. Eleanor might have thought she owned this place, but some things, some legacies, can't be bought or inherited. They're earned, remembered, and deeply felt. And in that moment, as Mark called me ma'am with a respectful nod, the weight of years of slights and betrayals lifted. I was home.